We learned following what he branded a tough week, and now hundreds of people are rallying in London calling for his resignation.
Cameron! 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 David Cameron's got to go! David Cameron's got to go! David Cameron's got to go!
I know that I should have handled this better. I could have handled this better. I know there are lessons to learn, and I will learn them. And don't blame number 10 Downing Street or nameless advisors. Blame me.
RT's Laura Smith is in the thick of the protests and reports on the angry mood among the crowds.
We're right in the thick of this demonstration inspired by the hashtag Resign Cameron. You can hear they're all shouting, resign! 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 We're standing right in front of 10 Downing Street here, the police signs protecting Downing Street from this protest. A couple of people started up this call to resign, and now the whole crowd has taken it up. It is largely peaceful, but there have been some breakaway groups, as often happens at these demonstrations, who have caused minor scuffles and been involved in trouble with the police. These people have all come out to make Cameron step down in response to revelations in the Panama Papers that David Cameron's father was involved in offshore funds and that Cameron himself had invested in them. Now, he maintains that he's done nothing wrong. He did admit that he had shares. He sold them before he became Prime Minister. He says he paid his full tax liability on those investments. But when I put it to these protesters that he had done nothing wrong, they disagreed.
A lot of people feel that they have lost confidence in the government. We're not accepting it when they're attacking the doctors, the nurses, the teachers. They've attacked the disabled, and they've had to backtrack. They had a minister resign over that. And it's just, they're obviously very weak. They need to go. We don't trust them anymore.
That's a symptom of a much more important disease. The economic system is broken. And one of the reasons it's broken is it favours the huge tax avoiders.
Cameron's party is standing behind him. These people are calling him a hypocrite, particularly as he has always come out very strongly and said that he's clamping down on tax avoidance and tax exemption, and that these kinds of offshore funds are exactly the kind of thing that he would like to see eradicated. He's called it unacceptable that people would invest in these offshore funds. So this protest is still going on. These people are still very invested in what they've come here to do.
With calls on Cameron to resign getting even louder, there was a huge reaction on social media. On Twitter, people are teaming up under the hashtag Resign Cameron, voicing criticism of the British leader. Here you can see how the hashtag has been trending across the globe. Let's cross over to economist John Wakes, who joins us live from London. John, thanks for joining us on RT International. Well, amid this growing pressure on Cameron, how likely is it that he will even consider resigning, as these protesters are demanding?
Well, I think that at this stage he would only resign if there was something that criminal that he was afraid he might come out. That is to say, the pressure is not enough for him to resign yet. It conceivably could be, but it isn't at the moment. And there are many other countries in which there are leaders also coming under pressure. I mean, there's a long list of them: Argentina, Britain, of course, China, Iceland, Pakistan, Russia, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, there are a whole range of them. So what we're seeing is, I think, a general phenomenon manifesting in Britain. Now, will Cameron resign immediately? No. Might he in the future? I think that's quite possible.
And as you mentioned there, even if there's nothing criminally, certainly, that's gone wrong at this stage in time that we know of, people are more angered, really, that Cameron has come clean rather late in the day, hasn't he? Why did it take him so long, after 5 statements, to actually admit to benefiting from this scheme, do you think?
Well, first, I want to agree very much with what you said, that people are revolted, really, by an apparent hypocrisy, and this is part of a bigger system. As you know, there are demonstrations going on in Paris now about a largely unrelated issue, but it shows a general revulsion against politicians in place. Why didn't he from the beginning say, oh yes, I benefited and all that. I think he thought he could bluff his way out, that he could just say something rather bland, which he did. It's a personal matter, and that would be the end of it. I think he very much misjudged it. There are also things probably he did not want to come into the open and be in the media, but I think there was a certain arrogance there. This government's gotten away with so many things. I think he thought he could get away with this.
And in terms of the legality of this, of course, Cameron's done nothing wrong against the letter of the law, and he's sold these shares before he became Prime Minister, hasn't he? So are these resignation calls even legitimate considering the circumstances?
Well, the point you make is a very good one. I mean, you have to make a distinction between tax avoidance and tax dodging. He's a tax avoider, at least as far as we know, and I suspect that his lawyers are good enough that he has not done anything criminal, though he may have. We don't know. We need to have full disclosure and judge it then. But following up on the point that you make, there is a gray line. If for years you and your lobbyists push to change the law such that something that you want to do will become legal that is now illegal and become legal, you get the law changed, then you do it. Yes, it's now legal, of course it is, but it's legal because you used your political power to bring it about. So this is a gray area, and I think people, particularly those out demonstrating, and many people in Britain who are upset about other things the government has done, are saying to themselves, yes, it may be legal, but it's only legal because all of these rich people have used their power to make it legal.
Economist John Weeks, thank you for joining us on RT International. Appreciate your time here tonight.